Is God peaceable? Romans 15:33, the God of peace. Isaiah 2:4, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Verses Exodus 15:3, the Lord is a man of war. Joel 3:9 and 10, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. All right, so let's deal with this. God is peaceable. The only time God is making war, so to speak, is against rebellion. Case in point, when you look at the God in heaven and Lucifer, and how Lucifer tried to get a third of the angels to revolt against God, and God handled his business. All right, when you look at the Israelites and how the Israelites were used as instruments of judgment by God to judge people that were sinning against him and doing cruel things and sinful things to other people. All right, so this is the only time where God is doing any type of warfare whatsoever. All right, is in the acts of judgment. Let's go to Joel chapter 3. I'm going to read from verse 1. All right, I have the Bible in my hand. I do not have this on the screen. So Joel chapter 3 verse 1, for behold, in those days and that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. They have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off. For the Lord hath spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Okay, so this is talking about judgment. It's talking about judgment. It's not just talking about God going around aimlessly slaughtering humans and stuff like that. That's not what it's talking about. Okay, God is the God of peace. Isaiah 9:6 says Jesus is the Prince of Peace. All right, but just because God is peaceable doesn't mean he's not going to judge sin. But let's move on. Was Jesus peaceable? John 14:27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Acts 10:36, the word which God sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Jesus Christ. Luke 2:14, on earth peace, goodwill toward men. Verses Matthew 10:34, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foe shall be they of his own household. Okay, so what Jesus is talking about here is the divisions that will be caused by people that will choose to follow him and people that will not choose to follow him. So people were divided within their households, within their families, amongst their people, because certain people chose to follow Jesus and certain people chose not to. Case in point, if you look at Apostle Paul, look at Peter and John, you look at the Pharisees, they were all of Israelite ancestry, but they all were. But the thing that divided them was that these men chose to follow Jesus, and many of the Pharisees chose not to follow Jesus. And this is why when you read the book of Acts, the Pharisees continue to persecute Paul throughout the book of Acts. All right, because they were divided because of who chose to follow Jesus and who chose not to follow Jesus. This has nothing to do with starting physical war amongst people and and that type of stuff. But it has everything to do with those people who choose to follow Jesus versus those who choose not. That's where all the division came in. Luke 22:36. Then said he unto them, he that have no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. Okay, this statement was indicative of the type of pressure or persecution and tribulation that the disciples would run into being followers of Jesus Christ. Nevertheless, all the apostles except for one died gruesome deaths. All right, and we're going to prove that Jesus was not a violent gentleman, or is, I should say, is not violent. Let's go to Matthew 26. We're going to start at verse 51. And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword. Sound familiar? And struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Then said Jesus unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Okay, and on top of that, bind two, say bought two swords. Okay, had no sword, sells garment, but okay, it doesn't say that here. But if that was the case, if he was talking about violence, then why in the world would he tell Peter to put his sword back in his place? Why would he tell him not to do that? But let's keep reading. All right. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled that thus it must be? All right. So Jesus himself didn't even call angels, okay, for the sake of doing the will and the purpose that he came to do. So let's go down here. Was Jesus trustworthy? John 8:14. Though I bear record of myself, yet my record is true. Versus John 5:31. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. Recording, witness, and above verses are the same Greek word. Okay, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. All right, so obviously he's saying that this is a contradiction. All right, so let's start with John 8:14. We're going to read down to 18. All right, Jesus answered and said unto them, though I bear record of myself, yet my record is true. For I know whence I came and whither I go, but ye cannot tell whence I come and whither I go. You judge after the flesh, I judge no man. And yet if I judge, my judgment is true, for I am not alone, but I and the Father that sent me. It is also written in your law that the testimony of two men is true. I am one that beareth witness of myself, and the Father that sent me beareth witness of me. All right, so let's go back. Though I bear witness not of myself, my witness is not true. So let's go to 5 and let's start from verse 31. For if I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another that beareth witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnessed of me is true. He sent unto John, and he bare witness unto the truth, but I receive not testimony from man, but these things I say that ye might be saved. He was a burning and a shining light, and ye were willing for a season to rejoice in his light. But I have greater witness than that of John, for the works which the Father hath given me to finish, the same works that I do, bear witness of me that the Father hath sent me. And the Father himself which hath sent me have borne witness of me. Ye have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape. And ye have not his word abiding in you, for whom he hath sent him ye believe not. Search the scriptures, for in them ye think ye have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. So this is not a contradiction. On top of that, if you just keep reading, that's all you got to do is keep reading. Jesus says that the Father also bears witness, a record of him. Okay, so this is not a contradiction at all. All you have to do is just keep reading, which is very pedestrian and simple. If you want to get the full meaning concerning those things, and concerning a number of things, to be honest. So it just goes to show of how poor this research is. This research is very poor. And it's a problem when you do poor research and you bring it out to the public as if what you have researched is actually true. Shall we call people names? Matthew 5:22, whosoever shall say thou fool shall be in danger of hellfire. Matthew 23:17, ye fools and blind. Psalm 14:1, the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. We're going to go to some commentary on this. The scripture in Matthew 5:22 has, be honest, really has nothing to do with calling someone a name. It has a lot to do with the anger or unrighteous anger in a person's heart. So, for example, it's talking about in the same set of scriptures that it talks about a part in the law that says thou shalt not kill. But Jesus is taking it a step further, dealing with the anger that will cause someone to get to a point where they will actually kill someone. All right, so Matthew 5:22, here's some commentary on it. My link is right here, just as any other Wishicom would be, any other web address would be. This is a rabbinical way of speaking used when a question is determined and a false notion is refuted. It is a magisterial form of expression and well suits with Christ, the great teacher and master in Israel, who spake as one having authority, opposing himself not to the law of Moses, thou shalt not kill, but to the false gloss the ancient doctors had put upon it, with which their latter one agreed. You say that if one man kills another himself, he is to be put to death by the Sanhedrin, and if he does it by proxy, he is to be left to the judgment of God. So wholly restraining the law to actual murder. But I affirm that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. By brother is meant not in a religious sense, one that is of the same faith or in the same church state, nor in a strict natural sense, one that is so in the bonds of consanguinity, but in a large sense, any man of whatsoever country or nation, for we are to be angry with no man, that is, as is rightly added, without a cause. All right. For otherwise, there is an anger which is not sinful. Okay, it's not talking about that. But it is causeless anger, which is here condemned by Christ as a breach of the law. Thou shalt not kill, and such persons are in danger of judgment. All right, skip down. Whosoever shall say to his brother Raka shall be in danger of the council, or Sanhedrin. The word Raka is expressive of indignation and contempt. It was used as a term of reproach. Some derive it from to spit upon, as if the person that used it thought the man he spoke to deserved to be spit upon and treated in the most contemptuous manner. But rather the word signifies empty and vain, and denotes a worthless, empty-headed man, a man of no brains, a foolish, witless fellow, so often used in Jewish writings. So this has nothing to do with calling someone a fool at all. It's talking about killing a man in unrighteous anger that will cause someone to lead up to that point to where they will kill a man. Has anyone seen God? John 1:18, no man have seen God at any time. Exodus 33:20, thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. John 6:46, not that any man have seen the Father, save he which is of God, Jesus, have seen the Father. 1 John 4:12, no man have seen God at any time. Verses, Genesis 32:30, for I've seen God face to face. Exodus, well, let's start here. No, I'm going to read all of them. Exodus 33:11, and the Lord speaking to Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. Isaiah 6:1, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Job 42:5, I have heard thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye seeth thee. All right, I'm going to go with this one for the simple fact that it does a good job articulating. So it's like a kill two birds with one stone. All right, so it's a response from Daniel Silva, and I ain't gonna read all that other stuff. All right, no, there is no contradiction in the text. John knew the text of the Old Testament when he wrote. The Old Testament text speaks of seeing the face of God. The following will show why the Old Testament agrees with John. So this appears to be something slightly different, but it still touches on the same argument. And the Lord said unto Moses, I will also do this which thou hast said, because thou hast found favor in my sight, and know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory. But he said, I will cause all my goodness to pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you. And I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. And he said, you cannot see my face, for no man shall see my face, and he shall live. And the Lord said, Behold, a place by me, here you will put yourself on the rock. And it shall come to pass, when my glory shall pass away, that I will put thee into a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand until I have passed. And when I have taken my hand, thou shalt see me in the back, but my face shall not be seen. And that's Exodus 33:17-23. It is perceived by the text that God says that no one can see his face in all his glory and live. In all times that God appeared to someone, his appearance was not total and was not in all glory. Israel, another name for Jacob, had a supernatural experience in meeting a mysterious man whom he understood to be God. Now, mind you, as I said before, this website doesn't put all the details in. Likewise, they don't put the scriptures before or beneath the one that they decide to list on the site. Other texts imply that someone has seen God, but they are visions and not physical contemplations. All right. So this is Isaiah 6:1, one of the ones that we read. In Genesis 32:30, Jacob saw God appearing like an angel. He did not really see God. Samson's parents were frightened when they realized that they had seen God, but in fact had seen him only as an angel. Jesus was God in the flesh. When people saw him, they were seeing God. So yes, God can be seen, and many people have seen God. At the same time, no one has seen God revealed in all his glory. And now, human condition of sin, if God were to totally reveal himself to us, we would be consumed. Therefore, God transforms and appears in many ways in which we can see him. However, this is different from seeing God with all his glory and holiness exhibited. People have seen visions of God, images of God, and appearances of God, but no one has seen God in all of its fullness, All right, so appearances of God in the Bible, mainly the Old Testament, are called theophanies, the appearances of God. All right, even if you read the book of Exodus, God appears unto Moses in the burning bush. All right, so I chose this because it seemed as if this was very articulate. For the sake of articulation, I chose to read this from here because this is broken down very well. So let's go back. How many gods are there? I am not a Trinitarian. Those of you who have been with me since day one and seen my video on the Trinity will know that I'm not a Trinitarian. So I'm not going to pay that one any mind. So let's continue. Are we all sinners? Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Romans 3:10, as it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. Psalm 14:3, there is none that doeth good, no, not one. Verses. Job 1:1, there was a man whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright. Genesis 7:1, the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all the house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Luke 1:6, and they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless. All right, so I believe I made mention before that the term perfect, when it's placed in the Bible, is not always referring to someone who has not committed sin. That's not what it's talking about. So we're going to go to Strong's. This is 8549 to mean. Now, granted, this isn't the same as the exhaustive concordance as far as the numbers. You know, I don't think this will show up as number 8549 in my concordance that I have at home. All right. So this comes from the word tam or tamim, which means complete sound. All right. So this is what it's referring to in reference to Job. It's not referring to a man who is sinless. All right. So that smashes that. Also, as humans, although we are born for sinful nature, we can be born again. And that's part of the gospel message. Us receiving the Spirit of God with the evidence of speaking in tongues to be birthed spiritually. All right. And that becomes Jehovah Tsidkenu, which is the Lord our righteousness. It's the Spirit of God inside of us that purifies us and cleanses us day after day and continues to remake us in his image. All right. So Genesis 7:1. All right. Looks at Noah as righteous. As I said before, you can be righteous in spite of having a sinful nature. You can turn away from sin and follow God. So you can be made righteous. Being righteous doesn't mean that you don't have sin or that you don't make mistakes it doesn't mean that. That's not what it's saying. All right. So on top of that, this is why people, even Job, made sacrifices. Sacrifices were made for sin, meaning that the animal took the place of the individual. All right. And Jesus was the manifestation of these sacrifices. These animal sacrifices were just a shadow of things to come. And that one of those things, that thing was Jesus. Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice. All right, so the scripture right here, I'm not going to read it, but I'm just going to show it to you. Show that Job, just an instance of Job making sacrifices. All right, now this one right here, I'll say is definitely one of the biggest toughies out there to deal with. This one is tough. It's tough, but nevertheless, it is reconciled. Ladies and gentlemen, this source that I have, this is 12 whole pages. 12 whole pages of information resolving this supposed contradiction with these scriptures concerning this contradiction, supposedly. We're not going to go over all 12 pages of this. This is way too much to go over. If you want the link, just hit me up in the comment section. I will give you that link or post that link to all these 12 pages. I am not going to go over all 12 of these pages, but I will read a number from the table 1 summary notes, which is listed right above here. I will do that just to give you some information concerning the resolution of this contradiction. But to go over all 12 pages, that seems like another video within of itself. So once again, if you want that link, just hit me up. I'll give it to you. Or as a matter of fact, you see it right here. But I could also post it if you'd like. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read number 6 from the table 1 summary notes. Ahaziah, king of Judah, son of Jehoshaphat, by Athaliah, daughter of Ahab and Jehoram, of Judah's half-brother. 2 Kings 8:26, 2 Chronicles 22:2, 3, 4, and 9. Is age 22 when he begins to reign as a spare or deputy king. 1 Kings 22:47 in Israel, because he is a son-in-law to the house of Ahab, and his father Jehoshaphat is said to be king of Israel, as well as the king of Judah. 1 Kings 22:2, 10, 26, 29, 2 Kings 3 verse 7, 14, 8, 27, 2 Chronicles 18:25, 28, 19, 1, 21 verse 2. He reigned 7 years co-regent with Ahab, 1 year co-regent as deputy king of Judah with Jehoshaphat, while Jehoshaphat is on campaign with Ahab, and then another 11 years as co-regent or spare king in Israel, first with Ahaziah, and then with Jehoram, sons of Ahab, successively on the throne of Israel. Ahaziah of Judah reigns 1 year over Judah after the death of his half-brother Jehoram, in the 11th year of Jehoram of Israel's reign. 2 Kings 9:29, 2 Chronicles 21 verse 1, 18, 19, and 20, and then reigns as king in Jerusalem for the second and final year of his reign, which is the 12th year of Jehoram of Israel's reign. 2 Kings 8:25, 26, 2 Chronicles 22 verse 1 and 2. Ahaziah of Judah is age 42 at the time of his 1 year reign in Jerusalem. This analysis resolves the apparent discrepancy with respect to Ahaziah's age as 22 and 42 in 2 Kings 8:26, 2 Chronicles 22 verse 2 respectively. See additional questions for the resolution of related questions such as how is Ahaziah of Judah, Jehoram of Judah's youngest and only son, when Jehoram is a year younger than Ahaziah and Ahaziah is still his brother. Alright, so this is only like 1 page of the whole 12 pages. So this thing is loaded with all type of scriptures, all type of information to resolve this supposed contradiction. But all in all, this supposed contradiction, just as the rest, is a contradiction.